The Home Depot Center in Carson, California, one of the cathedrals of U.S. soccer, and it is where the United States begins defense of its 2005 Gold Cup championship 2 years later. They defend the title on the West Coast, at least at the start. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our coverage of Gold Cup 2007 as play begins on the second day of competition in Group B. Alongside Shep Messing, I'm Steve Cangelosi. Simply put, Shep, this is the most important game tonight that the United States plays since Bob Bradley took over as head coach of the U.S. men's national team, and also since their elimination in the 2006 World Cup.
Yeah, Steve, you're absolutely right, but they're great expectations for the U.S. team in this 2007 Gold Cup. I don't think it's going to be easy because for teams like Guatemala, this can make their year when they come up and play against the U.S.
And with that said, the United States has never lost a game in group play. They do have one of the hottest players right now playing anywhere in the world, and in particular on U.S. soil. That's Eddie Johnson, who comes off back-to-back hat tricks, the first time that's ever happened for a player in Major League Soccer. He plays for the Kansas City Wizards, not in the starting lineup, but clearly, Shep, they're expecting big things out of this young man.
Well, there's no question. A couple of years ago, Eddie Johnson, one of the hottest young players in the world, Benfica tried to buy him from Major League Soccer. Major League Soccer said no. Eddie Johnson had a bad season last year. He is right back on track. No injuries, in shape, focused, and scoring goals.
Now, one player for Guatemala is a man who certainly has made his mark in Major League Soccer. He has an MVP award to his credit. The nickname is El Pescadito, which translates to the little fish. That's Carlos Ruiz. Their attack pretty much begins and ends with number 20 in the Guatemala lineup. He'll line up tonight as a lone forward.
You talk about Carlos Ruiz. He's a lightning rod for both criticism and applause. I like him. He's got a low center of gravity. He's an aggressive striker. I think as he's gotten older, he's become a better goal scorer. He judges when to get forward, when to rest, but he's always dangerous around goal.
And probably feels this is a nice, healthy haven for him in international play. His club team, FC Dallas, it has not worked out. We'll get into that a little bit later on. It's the United States and Guatemala set to get underway. The doubleheader here at the Home Depot Center in Carson, California, set to kick off in just a few moments. The United States trying to defend its title successfully in the 2007 Gold Cup. We're back with the starting lineups, the opening kickoff coming up in just a few moments.
At the Gatorade Sports Science Institute, we test athletes in the lab. Because we know they'll be tested on the field. Gatorade, the most tested sports drink on the planet.
Carson, California, the Home Depot Center. It's one of 6 venues for the 2007 Gold Cup, and the United States opens up group play tonight against the men clad in powder blue. That's Guatemala and their star, Carlos Ruiz, as we welcome you to our coverage of Gold Cup 2007. The referee for tonight's match, Jose Pineda from Honduras. And there is Landon Donovan in the eye of the storm after a World Cup that saw him criticized back in 2006. Tim Howard, the #1 goalkeeper now for the United States. And Shep Messing, simply put, much is on the line for the United States. They need a good start to this tournament right off the bat.
Absolutely, Steve Cangelosi, and we got to look at Landon Donovan. I liked his quotes about Gold Cup in general. This tournament in particular, he said it's not going to be easy. Everybody, when they play against us, they're going to give it everything.
The United States undefeated thus far in the matches they've played under Bob Bradley. He started out as the interim head coach of the men's national team. The job is now his on a full-time basis. Here's the starting 11. He'll go with Taylor Twellman, is also red hot in Major League Soccer to start the season with the New England Revolution, and along with Landon Donovan, but perhaps that lineup will have Twellman as the lone striker in the lineup. And for Guatemala, once again, it is Carlos Ruiz. Ricardo Trigueño is the goalkeeper now. He's the man who shut out the United States the last time these two teams faced each other. That was back on March 28th, a friendly, a game in which Guatemala really packed it in, decided not to give the United States a lot of opportunities to score. And Shep, probably we can expect much of the same tonight if that's what it takes Guatemala to get a point.
Steve, you're right. I was talking about Landon Donovan, and he said we're going to play teams like Guatemala where when they play against us, it can make their whole year. So we have to be patient. We have to be incisive. We have to figure out a way to break them down if they sit back 10 guys behind the ball, leaving Carlos Ruiz alone up top.
And in the back four for the United States, Carlos Bocanegra, who's wearing the captain's armband for the United States in their last match versus China. He plays this forward in the direction right now of Clint Dempsey, who takes a shot and goes down early on. So some physical play from Guatemala right off the bat. It does force a foul and a free kick early on for the United States.
Well, this is a sign of things I think that will come in this game, Steve. Guatemala will do everything they can to try and break up the tempo, dictate the way this game is being played. They don't want to be giving up free kicks in this spot. The U.S. has guys like Landon Donovan over the ball who could do some damage.
We see the goalkeeper, Trigueño, trying to set the wall in front of him. This is Landon Donovan wearing the number 10 jersey for the United States, as he's done since the retirement of Claudio Reyna. Deflected high, goes up, this is punched out, and Guatemala does the same thing with Cabrera. Gustavo Cabrera on the ball, racing over and trying to clear. Guatemala cannot do that. United States remains on the attack. Benny Feilhaber, who scored his first international goal for the United States the last time around versus China, pushes it forward. He's wearing number 5, and right off the bat, he forces the first corner kick of the night for the United States.
And this is what the U.S. team wants, Steve. I think they have a distinct advantage when it comes to set pieces, corner kicks, free kicks, their size, their height, their strength in the box.
Landon Donovan will take it in the far corner of the field. Stadium has not filled up just yet. Donovan strikes it in front. That's headed down, and right off the bat, Trigueño is right there to make the stop in front. That's Bocanegra, who got up for the United States.
Yeah, we talked about the physical presence of the U.S. players. Bocanegra, really an unmolested header. Good corner kick by Landon. That ball, an outswinger. Bocanegra couldn't find a better spot on frame.
Bocanegra, who plays club action at Fulham in England. Jonathan Bornstein getting the start at left back, wearing number 13. Also a relationship with Bob Bradley. Bocanegra played for him with the Chicago Fire. Bornstein with Chivas USA of Major League Soccer. So the United States with a bit of familiarity there. Landon Donovan, as we expected, more of a midfield role than a forward, at least in the opening minutes here tonight at the Home Depot Center. Lofts this one in deep, and the United States looking to get up on the attack. That's Frankie Haydick of the Columbus Crew, who tried to push forward. Cabrera there to deny, and this will be possession for Guatemala.
Steve, you mentioned, as we get a look at the new permanent head coach of the U.S. team, Bob Bradley, a little bit of a different role in this lineup for Landon Donovan. He's split out wide to the right, really a three-man attacking midfield. Landon Donovan, Clint Dempsey, DeMarcus Beasley. Donovan sometimes has said he prefers to play in the middle. Bradley thinks he can get him out wide to the right, give him more room to operate.
Got a quick look at Carlos Ruiz, wearing number 20 for Guatemala. Man who played Major League Soccer for the Los Angeles Galaxy, so familiar with these parts of the United States. With FC Dallas now, they play it along the near side, and a whistle blows, and right off the bat, Hernan Dario Gomez, the head coach of Guatemala, doesn't like the call that he sees there.
Steve, I don't think this will be an easy game for the U.S. team. I think Guatemala's going to stay organized, stay packed in. I think they're going to try and make it a physical game. The U.S. team has to move the ball quickly, change the point of attack, be creative when they get into the attacking part of the field.
In this Group B, it is the United States, Guatemala, Trinidad and Tobago, and El Salvador. That is the quartet. The United States certainly would be one of the favored two teams to emerge from this group, but nothing is a given. And Guatemala did shut them down the last time around. DeMarcus Beasley tries to play this forward for the United States. Another foul is called, and Clint Dempsey has hit the turf a few times. and perhaps no player more successful at the World Cup last year than that man, the U.S. Player of the Year in 2006.
Yeah, I think this man, Clint Dempsey, is a key player in terms of the future of this U.S. team. He has that unpredictable ability to make runs, take defenders on, find the seam, score goals. Interesting that Bob Bradley has given him that role as a central attacking midfield player.
And there is Frankie Haydick getting the start at right back, a two-time World Cup veteran. It would have been 3 if not for an injury suffered just before the 2006 World Cup, and many people feel his time has passed, but Haydick getting a call here in a very important stop. The throw-in for Guatemala. And that's an errant throw-in by Cabrera. The United States tries to control with DeMarcus Beasley briefly on the ball, and now the U.S. plays it back to Beasley, who wears number 7 for the United States. Feilhaber plays it for the U.S. Looks to push forward. Haydick on the ball on the far side of the field. This is the savvy veteran Haydick. He plays this forward. Top of the box. That's cleared out by Medina for Guatemala. All the way back towards the midfield stripe, and the big defender Oguchi Onyewu plays it for the U.S. Onyewu over the top in the direction of Clint Dempsey. He's knocked down. This is played across. That's a shot by Taylor Twellman that's deflected high over goal. This is a big spot for that man, Taylor Twellman. He was denied a spot on the U.S. World Cup team last year.
Yeah, Taylor Twellman off to a spectacular start in Major League Soccer this season, playing as a lone striker here. That's because, Steve, he's got the ability not only to score goals, but really be that holding player. Back to the goal, hold the ball, wait for his midfield players to make runs.
Corner kick coming from the near side. The U.S. fan base, affectionately known as Sam's Army, lofted into the box. Towards goal, deflected, and knocked away. One of the best chances for the U.S. in the opening moments. This is Jonathan Bornstein now, who plays it all the way back, and Haydick plays it for the United States into some open space where they collect. Michael Bradley looks to play this forward. Deflected up. Bornstein off the head now. And the U.S. will let this go. And Albizoris looks to play it ahead for Guatemala. The United States with the better of the play. Landon Donovan on the ball now. Plays it deep. Donovan looks to cross in front. Shot in front. Deflected high. Trigueño goes up and he settles things down.
Steve, that's a great ball by Landon Donovan. Got out wide to the left. We talked about him starting out to the right. And look at that ball. Absolute perfection. Taylor Twellman trying to get at the end of that service at the near post. Well defended. But I like the way the U.S. attacked, spread the field, got the ball in early.
Twellman getting the start among the natural forwards on this United States roster. Brian Ching and Eddie Johnson, who we talked about just moments before the game got underway. So Guatemala keeps this game scoreless. Albizoris plays this forward. Deep into the attacking area. This is Avila on the ball for Guatemala. Working on Bornstein. Looks to cross it away, and Bocanegra mishits that. Clears it over the goal line instead of the touch line, and this will result in a corner kick coming up for Guatemala.
Steve, I like the play of Avila, and we've seen early in the game, there's Avila cutting it back in, winning the corner kick. We've seen how deep in their own end Guatemala's defending. They're going to try and win the ball, pack it in, quick outlet, get it to Avila, get it to Carlos Ruiz.
Tim Howard in goal for the United States. He has not been called upon to make a save just yet. Corner kick for Guatemala, lofted in front. Deflected by Guatemala, not on goal. This one is skied high. Gomez was able to take it briefly for Guatemala, but this will come back for the United States. Tim Howard named the #1 goalkeeper, at least at the start of this Gold Cup. The plan for the United States is for Howard to start 2 of the 3 games in group play. The veteran Casey Keller is expected to get 1 start as well. And then Coach Bob Bradley, he'll say he'll just start making some judgments as this tournament reaches the knockout phase, assuming the United States makes it that far.
Well, you could talk about the spectacular success of Tim Howard at Manchester United. Here's the U.S. pressing again. But I think the best thing for Tim Howard, here's a ball in.
And steered away by Trigueño. Can't hold on, and this will result in a corner kick. Frankie Haydick has seen a lot of action in the early going.
Yeah, here it is again, doing a good job spreading the field wide. There's a studs-up tackle. That could have been absolutely a yellow card. Anytime you turn the studs up, it's reckless. It was Cabrera in there with a hard tackle.
Another corner kick coming up for the United States. Donovan taking all of them to this point. Landon Donovan lofts it in. Top of the box. Shot by the U.S. is blocked in front, but it comes right to DeMarcus Beasley now. Beasley lofts this one in front. Shot wide of goal. DeMarcus Beasley looking for Clint Dempsey, who acknowledges the try. Great chance for the United States just by the wayside.
We've seen two great balls played by the U.S. in from the left side of the field. First Landon Donovan, now DeMarcus Beasley. Look at Clint Dempsey wide open at the far post. Just couldn't get it on frame. Very acrobatic attempt to collect that ball and put it on goal.
Clint Dempsey for Fulham of the English Premiership. He scored the one goal that the United States had off the foot of a U.S. player at the World Cup. And he seems to be in great form with an entire season in England behind him. Michael Bradley on the attack on the left side. Has it knocked away, but that's only going to force a United States throw, and at least we believe it will. But instead, Albizoris is placing it down for Guatemala.
I think you're right about Clint Dempsey, Steve. Going to England, really the best thing for him. He's got good physical strength, the ability, technical ability on the ball. He's also got a great first touch, great instinct for the goal. Now, that's what Guatemala's looking for. They're going to pack it in. They're not going to send numbers forward. They're going to look to counterattack. The U.S. has to be careful.
Still, that memory of the United States of what Carlos Ruiz has done on U.S. soil, and quite simply he is one of the more dangerous forwards. Maybe not the player he used to be in Major League Soccer, but still so much skill on the ball. There is Carlos Ruiz, who plays it down for Guatemala on the attack. This is Avila trying to get on it, and Tim Howard with one of the few times he's had to touch the ball in this first half right there.
Yeah, Bruce Arena, former U.S. national team coach and now Red Bulls coach, he was talking about Carlos Ruiz. He actually thinks he's a more prolific scorer now as he gets older because he picks his spots to get forward. Doesn't run as much, doesn't cover as much of the field, withdraws a little bit. But Bruce Arena thinks he's more dangerous than ever because he picks his spots to go forward.
Onyewu plays this over the top for the U.S. in the direction of Clint Dempsey, brought down now by Michael Bradley, who plays this all the way back towards midfield. This is Onyewu looking to play it forward. Brought down by the U.S., settled down by Twellman. This is Dempsey into the box. That's Beasley in front, but an offside flag did go up. DeMarcus Beasley all alone in front of the goal. It would not have counted, but he didn't put it on frame.
Well, I'll tell you what, here is a great little look by Clint Dempsey. DeMarcus Beasley about a step in an offside position. Look at this pass, though. No look, slips it in with the left foot. Beasley offside, but I love the trio of Donovan, Dempsey, Beasley playing off Twellman up front.
Bruce Arena, when he was coach of the United States team, talked about Dempsey being one of those guys you can utilize just a lot of ways. At forward, defensive midfield, out wide. So many ways he can serve a purpose, and Bob Bradley now has that at his disposal as Dempsey really enters the prime of his young career. What we have here is a set piece, though, for Guatemala. And Albizoris, the 25-year-old defender on the ball, lofts one in front, headed softly towards goal, and Tim Howard plays that on a bounce.
Yeah, I started to talk about Tim Howard before. I believe this is his job now. He's the #1 goalkeeper. Best thing that ever happened to him. Spectacular initial season at Manchester United. Then he struggled, was on the bench. Him going to Everton, the best thing that ever happened to him so far in his career. He's the #1 guy right now.
You talk about the experience at Manchester United. It was sweet and sour early on. Howard rose right to the top. He was keeper of the year in the EPL, and then very quickly had fallen out of favor. U.S. on the attack, far side of the field. It's played forward. Frankie Haydick tried to play it to Landon Donovan, who's knocked down. Forcing the foul is Landon Donovan, who looks good in the early stages of this match.
Well, again, we talked about a redefined role for Landon Donovan, not central, out wide right. He's going to receive contact because he dribbles the ball so much. Carlos Quinones with the foul.
And Donovan with the set piece now lining up for the United States. Trigueño, who shut out the U.S. in that friendly back on March 28th, barks instructions. Donovan is on the ball, and here we go. Lofts one into the box, immediately deflected out and cleared away nicely by Guatemala. But the U.S. will send this all the way back, and Bornstein is on the ball. Sends this one high, near side. DeMarcus Beasley for Taylor Twellman. Twellman on a break, cross in front, goal! Clint Dempsey in front! Oh, he strikes again. He scored versus China last week, and he lifts the United States to the early 1-0 advantage. The man from Nacogdoches, Texas, has done it again.
Watch the header by DeMarcus Beasley. That's the play that doesn't get credit. Now Taylor Twellman cuts, squares it, and Clint Dempsey, that's a goal scorer's instinct, makes the run, gets behind the defender. We talked about his great first touch. That's absolutely spectacular. That little header doesn't get enough credit, but that's the one that sent Taylor Twellman off, squares the ball. Dempsey does the rest.
Clint Dempsey with his 8th goal in international play for the United States. And the affirmative clap right there from Bob Bradley as his team now has a lead to play with. And now you wonder if that'll open up the game a little bit more for the United States as well, because now Guatemala has to play from behind.
Well, I got to talk to my friend Bob Bradley. That deserved more than a clap. It deserved a smile. That was a beautifully executed play. You've got to pounce on your opportunities. Now Guatemala.
Avila trying to move forward. U.S. breaks it up. It comes all the way back. Check that. Carlos Ruiz on the attack, and now Avila has it on the near side. Avila looks to play it, but it's cleared out by Jonathan Bornstein all the way back towards midfield. Guatemala now needs an answer. This is played deep into the corner. Contreras looks to bring it down. Marked by Frankie Haydick, and this will be possession right now for Guatemala. Will it be a throw-in or a corner kick? Contreras leaves it down, and he'll get set in front. So Guatemala trails. These teams played 90 minutes, and no one scored a goal less than 2 months ago. It's a throw-in for Guatemala. The toss-in deflected right out by Haydick and controlled now by Noriega, who plays it back. Skied high by Guatemala. This one lofted in front. We get a whistle on the play, and a flag went up on the side. Carlos Ruiz wants to know why. He doesn't feel he was in an offside position.
Yeah, he used his body. That's a Carlos Ruiz trait. He is deceptively strong, great center of low center of gravity, very physical. There's that little submarine to try and win the ball.
You talked early on, as we were just moments before the kickoff, about a lot of people in MLS love him. A lot of people can't stand him, and I'd imagine that's one of the reasons why.
Yeah, he's very physical, but he'll attack the ball, he'll attack the defender, but very savvy, very canny. That's a great goal for the U.S., Steve, but I really don't think that's going to change the tactical approach of Guatemala. They do not want a wide open game. They want to stay compact. I think they'd like a physical game. They're going to try and slow down the pace of this game.
United States looking for its 29th victory in Gold Cup play. The 28, that's the most of any nation in the history of this tournament, which dates back only to 1991. The 9th Gold Cup that we're witnessing here this year. U.S. with the lead and looking for more. Donovan now, wide right, continues to push forward on Cabrera. Lofts one in front, header by Twellman. Oh, he nearly doubled the lead in front. He doesn't miss many of those.
Yeah, Taylor Twellman's going to wish he could get another crack at this. That's an absolutely perfect ball by Landon Donovan. Taylor Twellman totally unmarked. He needed to do better on that. He had the time, he had the space, he wasn't under pressure. He needed to put that on goal.
Perfect cross by Donovan. He lifted that perfectly over 2 or 3 Guatemala defenders in the line of sight as Twellman made his move. Throw in now from the far side of the field. Guatemala, we should mention, has competed in the Gold Cup 6 times, has won only 1 game in 6 tournaments. That was a 3-0 victory over St. Vincent and Grenadines back in 1996. They're winless in their last 12 matches in the Gold Cup. Looking to break that streak tonight. Frankie Haydick now. wants to know what he did. And immediately the yellow card comes out from Jose Pineda, the referee. And that's our first card of the match.
I think that's a warranted yellow card. Look at Frankie Haydock. He's got his right arm wrapped around the neck of Contreras. Pulls him down, gets the yellow. Free kick, Guatemala.
With minutes remaining in the first half, Haydock gets the first caution of the match, and a dangerous free kick coming up right here as Tim Howard lines this up. Ruiz looking to guide his teammates. Let's see how Guatemala plays it. Contreras is right in front of him. The U.S. sets a four-man wall in front of Howard, and here we go. Carlos takes it, a drive. Oh, that's way off the mark, and a golden opportunity quickly goes by the wayside. Back for the U.S. now. Benny Feilhaber plays it forward. U.S. on the attack, wide right. Donovan's had a lot of ball in that spot. Plays it, top of the box, and it's cleared away by Cabrera all the way back towards the midfield stripe. 1-0, the United States leading it here late in the first half. Their first game of the 2007 Gold Cup. This will be possession for Guatemala as Michael Bradley backs off.
Yeah, DeMarcus Beasley will get called for that foul. There's Ruiz.
Carlos Ruiz looking to play it forward. Controlled by Guatemala, only briefly. Now let's see if they get something on a second wind here. Instead, DeMarcus Beasley plays it. A minute of added time here in the first half with the U.S. leading by a score of 1-0. Beasley can't control. Very quickly the throw-in from Rigo Gomez. Avila, who's given the U.S. some problems on that right side, will force the throw-in for Guatemala now as Bocanegra backs off. Final chance of the first half perhaps for Guatemala now. Avila back-to-back with Bornstein now. Albizuris with the toss-in. Contreras on the ball. Nice little move around Bornstein. Looks to get around Feilhaber. How about that? Over the top in the effort to clear, and the U.S. will come out with it now on Yewu. And the U.S. on the attack. Clint Dempsey goes over two defenders, and we get a whistle on the play as Dempsey forces the foul.
Yeah, Clint Dempsey, we talked about his ability to run at defenders with the ball at his feet. Absolutely, he's going to get a whistle on that.
Pair of defenders colliding on him. Medina was one, Noriega the other. Final moments of the half for the United States. Overlapping run for Frankie Haydock. Frankie Haydock, cross in front. Shot by Twellman. Beasley in front now. Loose in front. Dempsey trying to get to it. He can't. It's cleared away at the last moment by Guatemala. Great chance for the United States right there. Medina answered the call.
We're in stoppage time. DeMarcus Beasley, he tried to slot the ball. He should have smacked it.
Beasley plays it across. The U.S. trying to keep the attack alive. Played at the top of the box. Still controlled by the U.S. as Bradley plays it across. Bornstein on it now. Cross in front. Ball is still loose. Shot by Donovan. Oh, and a save made by Trigueño. Is there time for a corner kick? Donovan will try to quickly line it up. Remember, a minute was added, and now they're going to call it. The first half comes to an end. They won't go through with the ensuing corner kick. The United States will go to the locker room anyway with a 1-0 advantage over Guatemala. The lone goal from Clint Dempsey, our halftime coverage in a moment.
Work like a pro. Play like a pro. Tackle tough jobs. Dominate the game. Destroy the competition. Go professional. Choose Makita.
Halftime at Carson, California, the Home Depot Center. The United States with a 1-0 lead over Guatemala as it begins group play in the 2007 Gold Cup alongside Shep Messing. I'm Steve Cangelosi. The goal by Clint Dempsey, who all of a sudden is getting more and more scoring chances, an offensive threat for this United States team. And one goal against this Guatemala club. It can really affect everything you see for the rest of the night, Shep.
Steve, in the first half, I liked the way the U.S. attacked the ball. They spread the field wide. I love the trio in the midfield: Clint Dempsey, Landon Donovan, DeMarcus Beasley. And Taylor Twellman, underrated as a playmaker, made the perfect pass for Clint Dempsey to finish.
And you want to say a first-half shutout for Tim Howard as a confidence builder of sorts, but he didn't face one actual shot on goal in that first half. So the U.S. doing some things right defensively. Perhaps we'll see a little bit more of Carlos Ruiz for Guatemala in the second half. As far as the first half highlights, well, United States with one moment of brilliance, and so far that's the difference on the scoreboard. Let's take a look.
The U.S. attacked in the first half. Look at a flick header by DeMarcus Beasley. The square ball by Taylor Twellman, and it's Clint Dempsey. Sticks it in. First time, right foot. That's the goal. Great pass. Superb finish. The U.S. team continued to attack. This time it's going to bounce out to the left foot of DeMarcus Beasley. Tries to slot it. Should have buried it. Didn't get it done.
So for a moment, it looked as if the United States would add to that 1-0 lead in the waning stages of that first half. In particular, Landon Donovan, a lot of the ball in that first half, a lot of set pieces for the United States. No player felt the sting or heard the criticism more in the aftermath of the 06 World Cup than Landon Donovan. This is his first significant statement, really, since that time, Shep.
Yeah, I think Landon Donovan, he takes so much pride in his performance, both for his club, but especially for the national team. But I don't think this game is over. Guatemala in the locker room at halftime, down only a goal. I think they're going to make a game of it. I'm surprised that they didn't play more rough. I expect them to come out and fight Guatemala. This game's not over.
And a player we featured in the pregame, Eddie Johnson, who's off to a very quick start. 9 goals in his first 9 games in Major League Soccer this year. Perhaps he'll come off the bench in this second half. This is a weird circumstance for the United States. As a matter of fact, for Guatemala and the 2 other teams we'll see in group play later on tonight, because it's such a quick turnaround, they have to come back and play their second game only on Saturday, so it's a span of 48 hours. Interesting strategy for Bob Bradley, whether or not to save perhaps his most potent forward for the game that's coming up just 2 days from now.
Yeah, interesting dilemma for sure. I think we'll see Eddie Johnson in this game at some point. But again, if you're the U.S. team and you're Bob Bradley, you want to get that second goal. You can take nothing for granted. We haven't seen a lot about Carlos Ruiz in the first half. I think we're going to hear from him.
Quick timeout, and we'll come back. 45-plus minutes to go. The United States with a 1-0 lead, looking to start off on a winning note in defense of its Gold Cup championship 2 years ago. The second half just moments away. Keep it here.
At the Gatorade Sports Science Institute, we test athletes in the lab. Because we know they'll be tested on the field. Gatorade, the most tested sports drink on the planet.
The second half set to begin here at the Home Depot Center in Carson, California, as the 2007 Gold Cup continues. This is day number 2. The United States takes the field with a 1-0 advantage over Guatemala. No substitutions as we start half number 2. The United States in white, moving from left to right on your screen as Frankie Haydock plays it across, and Oguchi Onyewu now for the United States as it plays with a lead here. U.S. plays it wide out to the left. DeMarcus Beasley, who played a big role in setting up the lone goal of the match so far by Clint Dempsey, with the toss in for the U.S. Feilhaber plays it back from Michael Bradley, and what a story this is. The coach's son getting his shot with the senior national team. Donovan plays this into some open space as Haydock now Moves forward for the U.S., but cut off the pass by Medina, who's able to clear it out. Michael Bradley in the holding midfield role, Shep Messing. This is not a surprise if you've watched his growth in U.S. soccer over the last year and a half or so.
Yeah, Steve, that's a great point, because two players we really haven't mentioned, Michael Bradley, Feilhaber. I mean, that's a tremendous success story. Really marks the evolution of U.S. soccer. Two young players. We watched the collision on Yewu, Frankie Hayduck, but Feilhaber and Michael Bradley in those deep holding midfield possessions, those are usually savvy veterans. These two kids are absolutely terrific together.
And it's a hole for the U.S. to fill with the retirement of the great Claudio Reyna, the longtime captain of the U.S. national team. Played forward by Noriega, and then the United States off to the races on the counterattack. The golden foot, Clint Dempsey, who has the lone goal of the match. Twellman now tees this up. That hit a teammate in the back and takes a long bounce out. It's controlled by the United States anyway. This is Donovan on the attack, who plays it wide to Feilhaber now. Back to Frankie Hayduck. Hayduck wheels and deals and plays it out to Feilhaber. Wearing number 5 for the United States team in that central midfield role. Bornstein plays this. DeMarcus Beasley. He works on Albizoris and then gives it up. Here's Bradley, thriving now in the Netherlands now. Plays it to Feilhaber. Across for Dempsey. Dempsey to Donovan. Side of the box. Donovan cuts in off the left foot. Oh, he needed more on that shot, though. And Trigueño is able to gobble it up easily.
Yeah, I love that play, though, because the two youngsters we were talking about, Feilhaber and Michael Bradley, they set that play in motion. Got it to Landon Donovan. Donovan did everything right except for the final shot.
Needed more mustard on it. Here's the exchange we saw moments ago. That's Onyewu with Carlos Ruiz, who takes the flop. We've all seen that from his days playing in the United States.
Yeah, that's been a great individual matchup in this game, Onyewu and Carlos Ruiz, but Onyewu's got to keep his arms down. He got away with a little bit of a push.
Onyewu's future, very much a mystery at this point. Finished out the year with Newcastle United, and remains to be seen where he'll suit up when fall comes. Donovan plays this all the way across. Michael Bradley. Little touch. Dempsey on the ball. Plays it wide to the far side of the field. Nice job of possession by the United States here. Now Bradley plays it into the box, but that's gobbled up by Trigueño as Donovan was making his run.
That's a good little idea, though, because Landon Donovan was in an onside position. That ball just out of his reach.
Played long into the U.S. area and deflected. There's a Guatemala player down, and indeed, that's Carlos Ruiz, and this time he's a little more slow to his feet.
Yeah, that's the matchup I was talking about. Trigueño and Carlos Ruiz. I think there's certainly physical contact, but Carlos Ruiz reacting as if they clashed heads. There was no contact.
Here comes the U.S. on the attack again. Donovan playing it. Dempsey on the ball. 3 defenders around him. Has it cleared away. U.S. fights for possession now near the midfield stripe. There's a whistle that blew as Oguchi Onyewu now goes down. And again, he and Ruiz are in the middle of it all.
Well, there's Ruiz. He always uses his body. He initiates the contact. Onyewu goes down. That's been an individual battle the entire game.
And for Onyewu, we'll sort this out, and yellow card comes out to Oguchi Onyewu right there.
Wow, I thought it was Carlos Ruiz initiating the contact. I did see Onyewu lash out with his right foot at the end of the play, and I guess that's why he's getting the yellow. I thought, if anything, that would have been a foul on Ruiz, but the retaliation, it is a foul on Ruiz because U.S. is getting the free kick.
Gucci apparently agrees. He had some words for Pineda, the referee, and Onyewu now on the ball will play this across to his partner in central defense, Carlos Bocanegra.
Yeah, that's a silly yellow card because, you know, a yellow card for an attacking player is not as bad as one for a defender. A defender, when he gets a yellow card, he's got to think now twice when he goes in to mark a player.
One of the best U.S. central defenders, not part of this Gold Cup roster. That's Jimmy Conrad, who's just coming back now from a broken jaw. Ruiz putting the pressure on Onyewu now. He's brought down by Carlos Ruiz as the ball goes out. And this will be possession for Guatemala. A little bit of a sarcastic clap there from Onyewu.
Yeah, what an individual battle. You know, Onyewu really made his name against the Mexican player Borghetti. There's the yellow card he got. He got schooled by Borghetti, and then in the rematch against Mexico, oh, there's a chance. But the rematch against Mexico, that's where Onyewu made his name. He just absolutely ate him alive.
Highly deflected in the U.S. box, but the ball comes right to the foot of Michael Bradley, who's able to clear it out. Taylor Twellman on the ball now plays this to Donovan, and the U.S. can take a breath.
We got a good look on that replay. Evidently, the referee's assistant, the fourth official, helped out, pointed out to the referee, Piñato, that Onyewu, he thought, deserved the yellow.
Beasley now running for the United States. Puts it over the top, into the box, deflected. He had Clint Dempsey on a run. Deflected high over goal.
Now, we've seen some good service from out wide by Landon Donovan, DeMarcus Beasley. That was a great ball by DeMarcus Beasley.
Back into the U.S. area. Haydick now looks to play this forward in the direction of DeMarcus Beasley, but that's headed out. Possession for Guatemala, which continues to trail in this match. 1-0 is the score as Melgar plays this across. Medina on the ball now for Guatemala. Playing it deep. Haydick called for the foul. That's Contreras who was there pushing forward.
There's Haydick. Clearly had his arms on the shoulders of Contreras.
Frankie Haydick picked up a yellow card very late in the first half, Shep.
And again, I mentioned it before, I don't like when defenders get yellow cards because they have to be physical by nature, much more dangerous. Now Frankie Haydick and Onyewu both have yellows.
Quick look at Eddie Johnson, who appears poised to check into the match, but this is a free kick coming up for Guatemala as the wall sets in front of Tim Howard. Carlos Ruiz, their most skilled player, Guatemala, set to take a strike, it appears. Contreras and Gomez lining up in front. They open up for Ruiz, and a save by Howard. He didn't have to move much.
That's a new way to take free kicks. You put two of your own men, then they duck out of the way, try and shield the ball. Nice little save by Tim Howard. Sometimes the most difficult ball is the one right at your feet. He held on without giving up a rebound.
Howard has not felt part of this game either for the most part. Guatemala hasn't put any quality chances on goal. Donovan plays this forward. Backheel pass by Twellman as Donovan cuts into the box. But that's deflected high as Donovan tried to split the defense.
Yeah, that's great defending. Terrific breakup of the shot by Landon Donovan. Quick little backheel, but it was Cabrera who made the saving tackle.
There is the hottest player in the United States right now, Eddie Johnson. 9 goals in his first 9 games, and he'll check in for the United States now. And maybe a bit of a surprise that Clint Dempsey, who's been a factor all game, is the man who checks out in the second half. He was shaken up in the first half. Dempsey is done, and Eddie Johnson is on for the United States now.
I actually like that substitution, Steve, tactically, because Guatemala has to chase the game. They're playing a little bit higher up on the field. By putting in Eddie Johnson with his breakaway speed, Taylor Twellman's been doing a great job off the ball, holding the ball. So this really, I think, by putting Eddie Johnson in, sends a signal to Guatemala, you can't push everything forward or we're going to hit you.
You've seen Eddie Johnson now for years in the United States. We get a look at the U.S. pushing forward. Beasley gets it back from Twellman, and here's Johnson's first touch, laying it back. Bradley on the ball. Plays this to the side, and Landon Donovan is on it now for the U.S. Into the box. Headed immediately out by Noriega. And back towards the midfield stripe. And on the counterattack now, here comes Avila. Racing forward for Guatemala as he works Jonathan Bornstein now. Avila cuts back. There's a U.S. player down on the field. We'll try to ID him in just a moment. And he is not moving. That's Landon Donovan apparently for the United States, who has not moved much.
Now, I thought I saw a collision between Landon Donovan and Carlos Ruiz away from the ball. Landon Donovan slow to get up.
The two-time World Cup veteran, part of the U.S. national team in 02 and 06, and the yellow card is issued in that sequence. Rigoberto Gomez picks it up, and Donovan, thankfully for the U.S., is back to his feet.
There you go. Getting each other's face. Two bad boys, Carlos Ruiz and Landon Donovan. Looked like Ruiz came over to offer his condolences. Landon Donovan didn't want any part of it.
And then Ruiz had an answer after Donovan didn't want any part of it.
I love it. Two feisty, temperamental players. Landon Donovan has had a better game than has Carlos Ruiz.
Donovan has been part of the U.S. national team mix for a while. He is still only 24 years old. You can't forget that. Another substitution coming up now for the United States. That's Steve Ralston. He's the all-time leader in minutes played in Major League Soccer. He's checking in now for the United States, and it'll be Taylor Twellman, who did not play poorly in particular in the first half, who checks out for the U.S. now.
Yeah, and really that's also a function of the time in the game, Steve, and the score. You've put Eddie Johnson in the game. Do you want to play with two strikers in Twellman and Johnson? I don't think so. Bring Ralston back into the midfield. Send Eddie Johnson up top alone. Guatemala going to the bench as well.
Rigoberto Martinez is out. Mario Rodriguez, who's played on U.S. soil, formerly with the Columbus Crew, he's now with Municipal in Guatemala. Checks in now as Guatemala tries to come back from this 1-0 deficit.
You know, they're in the game, Steve. If you're Guatemala, gave up that goal in the first half, they're still in the hunt.
Near the midfield stripe, played by the United States. Ralston plays it back, and Haydick plays it forward to Michael Bradley now. Bradley will take off to be part of the under-20 World Cup team for the United States later on this summer, and already playing with the senior U.S. national team.
Yeah, Michael Bradley's a sensational story. The area he's really improved. Here's Beasley.
Skies one high, edge of the box where Eddie Johnson was. Bradley's on the ball now and makes his move into some open space. Beasley back for Bradley, crosses in front, but the goalkeeper Trigueño is right there.
Yeah, that's what I just started to say. That's the area where Michael Bradley has really improved. Much better getting forward. There's Onyewu with an unnecessary foul.
Number 19 for Guatemala is Rodriguez, who just checked in, and for Onyewu, that's a second yellow card. And if that indeed is to Oguchi Onyewu, and it is, he is out of this match, and he won't play on Saturday against Trinidad and Tobago. Onyewu has been ejected, and the United States is set to be shorthanded now.
Yeah, I just started to say that was totally unnecessary. Bocanegra was back there. There was no need for that at all by Onyewu. He had plenty of cover. He wasn't the last man back. Wow.
With plenty of time remaining in the 73rd minute. Still 17 minutes for Guatemala to try to tie up this match or more. And now life for Hernan Dario Gomez's side, starting with this free kick. Onyewu is done.
This has been one of the problems with Onyewu, such a great physical, talented soccer player. Really inconsistent, though, in terms of his demeanor. That, to me, Steve, totally unnecessary. He's got to know he's got a yellow card. Bocanegra was back. There was no need for that. Don't leave it in the hands of the referee.
Committed the very controversial foul in the United States loss to Ghana in the game that eliminated them from the World Cup 1 year ago. Many felt he was innocent in that respect. He's done, and the U.S. now down to 10. So now Tim Howard may get busy all of a sudden. Free kick, Guatemala. Contreras puts this into the box. Blocked at the top of the box. It's skied high. Played across the top of the box. Oh, a chance for Guatemala. Haydick tried to clear. It's deflected. And we'll get a goal kick coming up. The U.S. dodges a big bullet right there.
Well, let's see what Bob Bradley does. He can't leave three in the back. I wouldn't think he's going to leave three in the back. He's got a lot of options. He's got some options on the bench. Onyewu out of the game, and you're only up a goal, so Bob Bradley shouting out instructions. He'll probably bring a midfielder back, so he's got 4 in the back, and then look to see if he wants to go to the bench and put in another central defender.
Howard now with the goal kick for the United States, working on the shutout, but now his team down a man. Cabrera tries to play this out of midair as he comes together with Eddie Johnson, and Guatemala settles this on the back line now as Albizoras controls and puts it forward in the direction of Avila. Instead it comes to Bocanegra. Looks to clear, he cannot. Guatemala controls. A 1-0 United States lead. Albizoras plays this to the top of the box, settled down by Guatemala. They look to control. This one is skied and kicked way over the crossbar and into the stands. That was Carlos Quinones, the midfielder, who turns 30 next month, but mishits that one.
Well, I didn't think this game was going to be easy, Steve. The U.S. got the goal, but now they're down a man. It looks like Bob Bradley has slotted Frankie Hayduck into a central defensive position alongside Bocanegra.
Still playing with 3 natural defenders, so he has not made the switch immediately if he's going for a fourth. Well, now we see the United States has made the next substitution, and there it is. Jay Demerit, number 12, has checked in. So he goes to a fourth defender right there, right after that busy exchange.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you really can't leave. Bocanegra has been playing left back for Fulham, so U.S. on the attack, but right now you've got to organize your team, make sure you protect the lead. It's all about getting the 3 points.
Bradley on the ball for the U.S. plays it forward to Donovan. Wide for Steve Ralston. And Donovan is down one more time. Yellow card right there in the direction of Noriega. In the 80th minute of play. Here's how it happened.
Yeah, I think Landon Donovan's had a good game, Steve. We talked about tactically pushing him out wide right in the midfield to try and free him up, get some space, run at defenders. He's done a good, unselfish job of doing that.
Ralston for the U.S., which needs to keep pressure on and kill clock, most importantly with the lead. Bradley plays it forward. Beasley back heel. Eddie Johnson on the ball now. Johnson plays it wide. Ralston tries to cross. He cannot. Johnson with a chance, but he mishits that, and that goes high of goal.
Well, Eddie Johnson, he's been red hot, on fire in Major League Soccer. He had time and space, just got under that ball.
Noriega, who picked up the yellow card just a moment ago. And now time of the essence for Guatemala now. Cabrera plays this back. Medina on the ball. We are in added time now in the second half as Cabrera pushes forward. Guatemala needs to make this happen quickly. Nice cut by Cabrera as he gets around Donovan. Plays it wide. Chance now as Albizoras moves up on the far side of the field. He's overlapping. Comes together with DeMarcus Beasley. Albizoras looks to keep the attack alive. He gets help from Bradley, Beasley does. Did the ball go out? Yes, they'll call this a corner kick now, and the United States will have to defend this in the very late stages of stoppage time.
This game could have been over. The call goes against the U.S. There's the goalkeeper, Tringueños, coming up.
The added advantage, the U.S. is already down a man. This one's skied high. That's the goalkeeper who tries to make contact. Now Tim Howard comes out. He's got it, and the signal is done. Pineda signals the match has ended. The United States holding on for the 1-0 victory in this first game of group play. But what a finish.
Tremendous drama. They got the goal, had an ejection on Onyewu, but the USA hangs on.
1-0 your final. Clint Dempsey, the lone goal of the match. We're back with a wrap in just a few moments from Carson, California.
Work like a pro. Play like a pro. Tackle tough jobs. Dominate the game. Destroy the competition. Go professional. Choose Makita.
Welcome back to our coverage of Gold Cup 2007. Alongside Shep Messing, I'm Steve Cangelosi. Two streaks continue. First of all, for the United States, still now in 20 games total in group play. They have never lost a group play game in the Gold Cup as they try to defend their title. And for Guatemala, they remain winless now, 13 straight games and counting in this competition. But still, you look at the final score, one goal made the difference, and Guatemala can take some pride in the way they did play the United States. This was not decided until that last whistle blew.
Yeah, Steve, we're talking about Gold Cup. We're talking about group play. You just got to get out of the first round. Doesn't matter how you do it. It wasn't pretty. Guatemala fought hard. U.S. ended up down a man. All that matters is, for the U.S., they got the 3 points.
One key finish by Clint Dempsey. One key card. It was red. Came out in the second half. Here are the highlights of the match.
First half highlights, mostly USA. DeMarcus Beasley, great little flick. Taylor Twellman with the square ball. Clint Dempsey, first time, inside of the right foot. That's the goal, a great ball. Clinical finish by Clint Dempsey. U.S. continued to attack the near post. DeMarcus Beasley, oh, you should have smacked it. Try to slot it. Second half, U.S. up 1-0. Onyewu, what are you doing? He had a yellow card. That's his second. Pull out the red, baby. The U.S. is down a man.
So the red card to Oguchi Onyewu means he will not line up for the United States Saturday when they play Game 2 of group play against Trinidad and Tobago. That's a more skilled team offensively, and I guess for the United States that means they go into that match, Shep, without their most physical defender, if not their best defender.
Steve, I think for the U.S. team, they have some depth in terms of the back four. They will miss Onyewu, but I think they'll survive. They got through the first game. That's the most important one in terms of psychology.
And a little bit of a mix now for the United States in goal. It was Tim Howard who gets the win. He gets the shutout against Guatemala. Casey Keller will start at least one game in group play. That was the original plan by Bob Bradley. Perhaps he goes on Saturday. For World Cup 2010, Keller will be 40 years old. These starts are very important for him. He's got so much on his resume already, though, Shep.
Casey Keller is legendary, arguably the best goalkeeper ever produced. Brad Friedel also up there. But this mantle has been passed to Tim Howard. It's the job is his, Tim Howard's.
Well, as for the United States, up next Trinidad and Tobago. After that, El Salvador. And if they advance the group stage, knockout play is after that. Roughly speaking, it takes 6 wins to win a Gold Cup championship. Maybe 2 in the first round and 4 after that. Let's see what's up next for the United States. For Shep Messing, I'm Steve Cangelosi. Hope you've enjoyed our coverage of Gold Cup 2007.